for the fighting Phillies. 3-2 in the bottom of the ninth as they send 5 batters to the plate, and they do their thing. This is after Nick Lodolo, solo, just about, stymied the Phillies for 7 innings. Postgame live on the air, presented by our friends at Cure Auto Insurance. Ricky Pitalico, Ruben Amaro Jr. In a moment, John Kruk. This was a thriller. It was a tough one for the Phillies, and we were all saying, hey, sometimes you got to throw up your hands if a guy is that good on the mound, and Lodolo was, but they found a way to win.
He was that good, but you know that teams have to go to their bullpen at one point or another. And, I mean, you look at Alexis Diaz. I mean, he looked great in the 8th. All of a sudden, the 9th inning, everything puckers up. You wanted no part of that ninth inning. He did. He wanted no part of that. You're going to tell me he looked like he wanted any part of that ninth inning? Wanted no part. The Phillies battle, great at bat by Castellanos. And, I mean, it was passing the torch in the 9th inning. It was as simple as that. And the Phillies, bottom of the order, picks up the Phillies.
Yeah, and anytime when you, as you said, Ricky, when the bottom of the order picks it up, I mean, obviously the top of the order really struggled. I mean, they had, 9 strikeouts. They were 0 for 11. Just not very good at all in the first 3 hitters of their lineup. And for the guys in the back end to pick those guys up after a very tough game, it's hard to kind of get it going. But they kind of sort of hung in there, and they got to give the pitching by the Phillies a lot of credit for hanging in there. I mean, Bailey Falter was not throwing the ball all that well early in the game, but he grinded through it, and he got through 5 innings, and then the bullpen did a pretty good job of keeping them into the game. And the fact that they did that gave them a chance to win there at the end.
And 3 of those 5 hitters that the Phillies put up there in the 9th inning, 7 pitches, 7 pitch at bats. So they were patient. They were waiting, and when they got a pitch to hit, they did the right thing. That's what you want to see. You want to see some elongated at-bats, especially later on, especially when you could see a guy squeezing the baseball. I thought it was well done in that 9th inning.
Yeah, and it sure was exciting. Let's go across the street to the ballpark, check in with John Kruk. We saw him doing some fist pumping just a moment ago. Fans want to lap this thing up. John, how did this start in your view? How did they get over this hump that was Nick Lodolo?
Well, he came out of the game.
All right, Johnny, we'll see you tomorrow. Good night. Drive safely.
So,
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, but that's what you're hoping for at that point. I mean, Lodolo was that good. We thought he might pose a problem for the Phillies today. He comes out and they do their damage on the bullpen.
Yeah, and the only way you beat a guy like Lodolo, who the way he was pitching today, is your pitcher has to pitch good and keep you in. And Bailey Falter, I believe with Rick said that he did struggle early, but he grinded it out and kept the team close. Vasquez came in and gave up a run. You think, all right, 2-0 going into the 9th, see what happens. But yeah, these guys, they love playing baseball, and they love playing baseball with each other. And it's just so fun to watch. Like, we show shots in the dugout between innings. Those guys are they're having a great time playing baseball, and they have a great time playing here. You heard Bryson Stott say, coming back here, it's like the playoffs all over again with the electricity in the crowd.
You know, the one thing that was noticeable, obviously Alexis Diaz in that 9th inning, you could tell that he wasn't very comfortable in that situation. How did you like the at-bats by the Phillies in that 9th inning?
Well, really good. But it all started with Nick. When Castellanos works that walk, it's just now you got a guy on base. Now there's pressure. Okay, if I make a bad pitch, they hit a homer, the game's tied. So now you're trying to guard against all this other stuff. And, I don't know if Diaz thought after the 8th inning, he strikes out the side. He looked dominant, like, oh, boy, this ain't going to end well for the Phillies. But, you wonder if he thought he was coming out when he left the mound after the 8th. And then he found out in the dugout, no, you're going back out for the 9th. And, he's like, oh, now I got to turn it back on again. I don't know. You decompress, you go back out. And he looked like just a completely different guy from the 8th inning to the 9th.
John, you've seen a lot of baseball over the years. Talk about talk about how different it is now to see ground balls up the middle. That pulled base hit by Bryson Stott. If they're playing in the shift there, that's a ground ball for an out. How different the game is now, and how kind of exciting it is.
Yeah, it's better. I always thought that if you shift, you just learn to hit the ball the other way, or you hit around the shift. But Kyle Schwarber had a base hit in New York. And he told me the day after, he said, yeah, when I hit it, I just thought, oh, boy, here's another ground out to second. Yeah, I'd probably. It's a day game too. Who plays day game? Come on. But that's the thing though. Like, as good as he pitched and he was dominant, they kept the game close. The Phillies kept the game close. The Phillies bullpen once again was spectacular. Well, Vasquez gave up a run, but other than that, Bellotti and Brogdon and they were really good. And as long as and I think I told you guys that, wait till they get into situations that count instead of blowout games or bringing them in for a meaningless inning. These guys are pitching. And when the game's close, the bullpen's been outstanding, and that's the only way you can win a game like this is your bullpen has to be the ones that win it for you, and tonight they did.
So they've now won 2 straight, 3 of their last 4, and they're going against the Cincinnati team, and then a Miami Marlins team coming up. You got to get these wins against perceived lesser teams, don't you?
Well, yeah, but again, a team goes and plays the Reds, and you get Lodolo. You think, all right, shoot, let's try to win 2 out of 3 because this guy's really good. Yeah, now you don't, you enjoy this one, but now you think sweep, and then then you dial it in for Monday after tomorrow's game and think about that game. You can't think, well, we gotta sweep the Reds, we gotta sweep the Marlins, or win 2 out of 3 against the Marlins. You can't think that way. Today's over. Now you go tomorrow and try to sweep the series tomorrow, and then start off again fresh with Miami.
Beautiful.
I think we're going to get Alcantara, right? One of the games.
I'm sure we will. I haven't seen the rotation. I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
I thought he pitched 2 days ago.
So they get Alcantara, and then it's like kind of Lodolo, like you hope not. You hope it's not.
But very good stat.
But I mean, we beat him. We beat Alcantara last year, right? A couple times, I think.
Yes, we have.
A bunch.
Piece of cake.
But if you face a guy 72 times in a year, you're going to beat him once or twice. And now with the new rules with playing everybody, you might only get to face him 2 or 3 times instead of 20. I don't get that.
Well, we'll look at.
I do have one question. I do have one more question. Tell people how difficult it is sometimes to play first base. I know that play that Alec Boehm sort of committed himself a little early. I know everybody thinks that if you can play third base, you can play first, but there is a difference in doing that, and it kind of almost bit them at the end.
Yeah, Ruben, I always thought that the first base position was the hardest to play, and you had to be the smartest player on the field to play that position. Because it's really tough to stand there and just catch a ball when they throw it to you and then throw it around the horn. I mean, you don't know the physical abilities that takes to do that.
Yes.
But with that being said, I thought Vossler being a right-handed thrower on the base hit by Marsh possibly could have came off a little bit more. Because he just took that one step to guard the line.
Yep.
His left foot was almost on the line, but you're. I'm going to move over here, but your glove hand, you got that much room, so he could have taken an extra step. Now, as a lefty, I took what Vossler did. I took basically the step. My left foot was almost on the foul line. That way, if it's hit this way, I know I had more room because it was on my glove side if it was hitting the hole. But look, small things like that make a big difference in a game like this.
Sure do. All right, John.
And yes, we are the smartest people.
I know that. I said that. I absolutely thumbs up on that. The smartest position player in pitchers, any position.
What?
More so than a goalie or a catcher or a quarterback.
He did just say pitchers are the smartest.
Oh, he did?
You did.
No, I said more than pitchers.
That's not what you said.
No, that's.
We all know the real.
All right, John.
All right, let's get rid of John. John, have a good day.
John,
go home.
We'll check it
You've been
tomorrow.
locking in a couple Yinglings, haven't you?
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
We're getting there.
Lager up.
Lager up! John Kruk.
Did he just give us a lager up?
Yeah,
He did. That was a beautiful.
Very nice.
Take over for you.
He's hearing you. You know what I'm saying?
Easy
Check
grilled Ruben over
it out.
here.
Rob, the way the first 8 innings went and the way the first week of the season's gone, how did that 9th inning feel and what was the mood like when you got there? It was unfolding.
Yeah, it felt great. We had some good at-bats in the 9th. Nick leads it off for the walk, and Bomer base hit, a pinch hit from Marshy, and starter came through.
What do you see as the difference between how your hitters were facing Diaz in the 8th versus the 9th? Because I think he retired all 3 in the 8th.
Yeah. I don't know how much he's gone multiple innings this year. I don't know whether that affected him, but I thought we had good at bats and saw the ball a little bit better in the ninth, and he was a little more scattered in the ninth.
How much did Castellanos set the tone for that inning with his at bat and then his base running during the inning?
Yeah, it was great at bat, really was, and then he started playing with him at third base there with the third baseman way back, and maybe that affected him as well.
Played out in the third inning, played the play. What did you see on that play? Would you want Pache to maybe wait to see if that ball goes through? Talk to Stott at all about knocking home before that?
Well, it's tough. First of all, it's a tough read, and he was being aggressive and he was hustling, so I can't fault him for that. Stoddard let up a little bit at the end because he was running and running hard, and the plate umpire stepped in to grab the bat, and it just kind of startled him. He just kind of let up a little bit, but I don't know if he kept running, if he would have made it anyway. But
given that he was involved in that, good to see him get the chance to kind of redeem himself.
Oh, sure.
At the end of the game.
Sure, he's had good at bats. I mean, he was the only guy that had a base hit off of Lodolo there for a while. So he's had great at bats pretty much most of the year, and he's playing good defense.
Kind of lost in this whole thing is how Bailey pitched the second inning on.
Yeah, he was giving up some hard contact early because he elevates his fastball, and when you don't get it up there, get it above the barrel, and it's kind of not what you normally talk about pitching, is that he was actually too low with his fastball. Most of the time you're talking about keeping the ball down, but then he started getting the ball up, started to hit the corners a little bit, and he gave us five good innings.
It seemed like there was a real energy shift there from the 8th to the 9th inning. Do you think it's possible that your players were feeding off the energy from the crowd?
Oh, absolutely. They do every night when our crowd's in it. And as soon as Nick walked, or as soon as he got deep into the count, the energy level went way up in the stadium, and I know that helps us, and it affects other teams.
17 strikeouts for you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a lot of that their pitcher?
Yeah, he was really good. He was driving the ball in on our right-handed hitters, and fastball up, fastball in, really good slider. You got to give him credit. He pitched a heck of a game.
Stott's obviously seeing the ball well, but is there something a little more consistent about him so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a little more comfortable at this time of the year this year than he was last year. He's trying to get off to a good start last year and kind of snowballed on him, but he's comfortable now, and he's spread out. He's kind of taking that two-strike approach right now, and he's seeing the ball well and using the field.
What about the knowledge that he's going to be playing second all the time? Does that at least mentally help his perspective a little bit?
I don't think it really matters to him where he plays as long as he's playing.
The way this offense was able to come back, was good to know that even in a game like this when they were having trouble seeing the ball striking out, that they can just come back and score and have rallies like this.
Absolutely. And when you got a pitcher like that's throwing the ball the way Lodolo was, you're really trying to work it, and try to get into their bullpen.
The bunt in the top of the ninth, is that just kind of perfectly placed miscommunication, or was Stott need to be first there? Or what?
No, it's a base hit bunt. So we run the pitcher on a deep angle, and the second baseman comes in, fields the ball, and flips, and the first baseman stays at first base.
Rob Thomson, as usual, cool as a cucumber, flatlining, talking about his team come from behind win in the bottom of the ninth. 5 hitters come to the plate, and they end up winning it 3-2. 2-game winning streak, going for the sweep tomorrow.
They're 8 games in. He should be about as even
Well, he's
keel
like
as he
that
possibly.
in game 162.
I'm just saying.
He's like that in the World Series.
But I like that. I'd rather have my manager do that than be like Gabe Kapler. Oh, hey, you should have seen this at bat in the second inning. No, I don't care about the second inning. You talk about what's pertinent in the game, and he does. He gives real answers. He gives real baseball answers. That's for sure.
Gabe's on line too, by the way. Is Gabe on? Right?
I could.
Okay, we'll
I
take
don't
that
care.
call after the break. Yes.
The beauty of what Rob Thomson does, I mean, he's a baseball guy. And he makes guys and lets guys play baseball. And that's what happens. I mean, this is a perfect example of guys just playing the game. I know the guys talk about it during the broadcast, that they really like each other. They enjoy being around each other. It's really important. And I think that's sort of galvanized at the end of the year last year. I mean, during the course of the year, You know, this game was a game that they lost last year in the early part of the season. Now they feel comfortable. They believe in themselves. They're going to win these games more often than not just because they absolutely believe in themselves and they believe in each other. And when that happens on a regular basis, you have a chance to have a very good team. Listen, they should have lost this game. Lodolo was that good. This is a game that should have been lost, and they ended up stealing away from them. And that's big in 162 games.
To what degree can you downward spiral if you fail to get hits against a guy like Lodolo and you fail to win the game?
Where do you see the downward spiral?
I'm asking whether or not that can send you that way.
If they lost the game,
win it.
if they lost the game, it would seriously have been like, that guy just pitched a heck of a ball game. Let's just move on from this one. Because you even heard Stott in the post-game interview. He was like, yeah, that guy, man. I mean, whenever players give you a blank stare and say, oh, yeah, that guy's pretty good, I think they mean it.
Yeah. Can they fix that for next time they face him?
Probably not.
Well, they did
this guy's good.
They did the second time they faced him last year. I mean, he pitched like 7 shutout innings the first time. The next time, maybe 5 and a third, and they scored 3 or 4.
Yeah. I still think it has more to do with the sharpness of the pitcher on that given day.
Yeah, but
this guy's not afraid.
I thought he was extremely sharp.
But he came in with a 3.60, so someone got runs off.
Number one, I don't pull punches, and I think this guy was as good as anybody the Phillies have seen in a long time.
Hey, who's that? Great
Today.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah. Not afraid, throws his fastball, and when you're not afraid to throw your fastball and you can be effective with it.
Then David Bell said,
I just got cut off.
Bring in Diaz!
Get him out.
Sean Kane with the cutoff.
I hear the music.
I like it.
Got to go.